There it is. Johnny.
Good evening. We'll now call the business session of November 19, 2019 to order at 6:02 p.m. Welcome to our guests. We provide an opportunity for the public to address the City Council on any agenda item or during the hearing of visitors portion of the agenda. On items other than public hearings, speakers will be allotted one 3-minute presentation regardless of the number of agenda items the speaker wishes to address. If you are here to speak and haven't filled out a registration card, please see the city secretary staff at the registration table outside of the auditorium so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation and staff will distribute those to the council. If you are unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. When called to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Each speaker must limit comments to 3 minutes. If you are speaking on behalf of a group of 10 or more individuals present, please have those persons stand at the beginning of your comments, and you will be given 10 minutes to address the council. Please note that if you stand in support of a person getting 10 minutes to speak, you will be forfeiting your right to speak on that item. For any person addressing the council through the use of a translator, the speaking time will be doubled to accommodate the translation service. While public discourse is very important to the council, we have to maintain order in the meeting so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. Now please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have 2 items of business tonight, first, we have lots of items of business tonight. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve tonight. October 15th, 2019 minutes with corrections and the November 5th, 2019 minutes. Are there any corrections to those? Those will stand approved as read. We have 2 proclamations tonight. The first I will present, and the second one Mayor Pro Tem Bearfield will present. If I could ask Laura Zimmer and Sean Lee to meet me at the podium. Let's see, this is a little different tonight. All right, I, Kyle Deaver, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Waco, Texas, do hereby proclaim November 16th through 24th, 2019 as National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week in the city of Waco, and urge the people of Waco to join with the city council, the city staff, and me in recognizing National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. For over 25 years, the National Coalition for the Homeless and National Student Campaign Against Hunger and Homelessness has sponsored National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. Their goal is to educate the public about the many reasons people are hungry and homeless, and to encourage support for homeless assistance service providers, as well as community service opportunities for students and school service organizations. There are many organizations committed to sheltering and providing supportive services, as well as meals and food supplies to people experiencing homelessness, including the McLennan County Hunger Coalition and the Heart of Texas Homeless Coalition. We urge our citizens to assist in raising awareness of hunger and homelessness and help create a stronger community. Here's the proclamation, if you all would like to say a few words.
We are just excited to be celebrating a week of events focused on raising awareness of hunger and homelessness in our community. And if you go to the McLennan County Hunger Coalition website, there's a calendar of events, and I encourage everyone to look at those and attend as they're able.
And if we could get Tiffany McFarland, Community Liaison, and Holly Vincent, the Business Development Specialist of Interim Healthcare, to come to the podium.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
I asked Mayor Deaver if I could present this proclamation simply because as someone who has dealt specifically as a family member, child, dealing in hospice care, I know the importance of the work that you do. and how much of an impact it does make to the family and to the people who are dealing with the transition of their loved ones. So it was important to me to come and do this. So we are issuing you this proclamation today that says, I, Kyle Deaver, by virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Waco, Texas, do hereby proclaim November 2019 as National Home Care and Hospice Month in the city of Waco, and urge the people of Waco to join with the city council, city staff, and me in recognizing the vital role of home care and hospice professionals. The service they provide facilitates greater health, dignity, and comfort for millions of Americans with acute and chronic illness each year. Across the United States, thousands of home care agencies are observing the month of November as National Home Care and Hospice Month in an effort to create public awareness and increase public education regarding these compassionate healthcare services. We applaud the nurses, therapists, and aides who work tirelessly to provide professional health and palliative care and support to those in our community in need of quality health service. In testimony whereof witnessed by my hand and the seal of the city of Waco, this 15th day of November, AD 2019. So here's this, and if you all would like to have some words.
So we just want to say thank you so much for having us today. On behalf of Interim Home Health, we love home care and hospice. McLennan County has an aging population, and it's our privilege to be out here to be able to take care of them and to provide services to them. So thank you all so much for having us, and we look forward to taking care of everyone. All right, appreciate it, guys.
All right. We got 13 public hearings tonight. The first is public hearing 2019-885. Clint Peters.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving the subdivision plat for South Fork Addition Phase 10. All the platting conditions have been met on this plat.
Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
That's it. Okay.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Meek?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Sabido?
Yes.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Deaver?
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-886.
Mayor, before we start this public hearing, 886 through 890 are all special permits with the same findings, so I'd like to read those on the record first. That the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan and purposes of intent of Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco. That the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area which is located. That the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of the special exception. And that available community facilities and services, including the road system, providing access to the proposed use are adequate for the proposed use. So this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit, Teresa L. Almanza for short-term rental type 2 in R1B zoning district on property described as Lot 5, Block 17 in the Rennick Addition, known as 616 Tyler Street. By a vote of 6-1, Plan Commission recommended approval of special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions and based on the findings I just read in the record.
Any questions for staff? I have 3 cards here. It looks like we'll go in the order of the applicant and then opponents, and then any other person that wants to speak on the item. Is the applicant here? Would you like to speak? If you would approach the podium and give your name and address, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Raymond Lopez, and I'm representing Teresa Almanza and at 2305 Morrow Avenue. And I would just like for the council to consider the approval of this. As the plan director has mentioned, all the legal requirements have been met. We've checked with the neighborhood. Everyone seems to be very happy with it. This home is a brand new 2,000 square foot home that is a real asset to the community, and it will bring tax revenues to the city. So thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. I have one.
I'm sorry, I do have one.
Sir? Sir, I'm sorry, we have one
I'm
question.
sorry, I do
question
have
for
one
you.
question. As a new build within the community, was it ever considered to be used for long-term rental or to sell, or was it built to be a STR?
Just a short-term rental only.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is that it? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I have one card here that is labeled as a proponent, and it is Commissioner Pat Miller.
Good evening,
Good evening.
and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am Commissioner Pat Miller, and the area in question is within my commissioner precinct. And I'm speaking in opposition to the request for the short-term rental.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Commissioner Miller. I had,
Okay.
the box was checked for proponent, but you may be able to go next. I'll just wait
okay.
just a minute. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this item? Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Miller. I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to point out a few things that have been brought to my attention. We have had a lot of meetings, the city of Waco, you all have had a lot of meetings where you're asking the residents in this area, in this community, what is it that you want to see brought here as far as development? And none of them have said short-term rentals. I know when they come up to me, one of the things that they're asking for that we still have not seen are programs and educational programs that will enable current homeowners to rehab their homes to the standard of the new development. But we're not seeing that. And I don't want to be an advocate and a proponent of a system that is not really living up to what it said it would do. You all said you wanted to hear from the community. You wanted to know what they wanted. But then it seems when we get to the subject of short-term rentals that the community is getting a deaf ear. And what has been brought to my attention is the fact that there are a lot of incentives coming into this area for home ownership. And I would hate to see those incentives as far as down payments and closing costs and other incentives for you to build your home. I would hate to see those incentives used for individuals who turn around and turn those into short-term rentals. I think that's a false use of an incentive that we would thank the city for providing. I think what will enrich this area is long-term home ownership. I know I grew up in Northeast Riverside, went to school at R.L. Smith, and then G.L. Wiley. And so I have an affinity to this area and to this community, and the individuals in this community know what they want this area to look like. They agree and they're proud of the development that you're doing on Elm Street, but they never envisioned that their residential neighborhoods would be commercialized. And I think it would behoove the city, perhaps, to develop even a plan of where you want to put these short-term rentals. How many do you want to have in an area? How many people will be living per short-term rental? I think maybe there's some planning that the city could do that we could give some credibility to this process before we just start arbitrarily giving out applications. And I know I have spoken to the pastor of St. John, that's on Tyler, and they are not for the short-term rental application. I'm not going to take up your time anymore, but I just hope that we can work together and maybe come up with a process that the community can embrace the idea of short-term rentals without sacrificing their residential neighborhoods.
Any questions for Commissioner Miller? Comments? All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Next card I have is Teresa Porter.
My name is Teresa Porter. I reside at 1125 Taylor Street, approximately half mile from this property. My dog and I walk past this property regularly, and we watch the construction with great anticipation, eagerly waiting to greet the new residents. I was heartbroken to learn of this application that would turn this beautiful home into a hotel room. The owners of this property have not attended any of the work group or neighborhood association meetings. They are unaware of this community's dire need for affordable housing, unaware of our opposition to short-term rentals, and unaware of our homeless problem. We have homeless, civilians and veterans in our neighborhood. We need to house our homeless, not our tourists. You may be aware of the November 5th report by KXXV News 25 that 27% of Waco renters are severely cost-burdened, meaning that they spend more than half of their income on housing. The November 15th article in the Waco Trib reported statewide homelessness of 15%. There is nothing to stop the Almanzas from forcing their current tenants out through rent increases. There is nothing to stop them from converting their 9 other properties into short-term rentals. We already have a homeless problem that is large enough for the city to seek out a homeless coordinator. We don't need to make it worse. We need affordable, long-term housing. Short-term rentals will not bring a positive environmental, economic, or social impact to this neighborhood. I say again, we need to house our homeless, not our tourists. Thank you.
Thank you. The last card I have on this is Larry Brown.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Larry Brown, reside at 209 Carver. I'm not going to be long. I'm a pastor in the neighborhood. I've served 2 terms on City Center Council Board. At no time, did anyone that I talked to during any meeting with anyone in the community speak in favor or warning any short-time rental in a neighborhood. Short-time rental is only going to benefit the one that owns the house. Why don't they put it in their own neighborhood? Quit coming to ours. This is the 3rd time that we've had to come up talking about someone want to put a short-time rental in our neighborhood. It's not good for our neighborhood. Like the previous person said, no one's speaking about education. No one's speaking about housing our homeless, and especially our veterans. We want to give someone permit to make some money, but at the same time, we're saying, forget you again, East Waco. Aren't you about tired of telling East Waco that we want to hear you, but we're not going to listen to you? I grew up in this city. Blacks in this city does not believe nothing in the city council because that's exactly what you do all the time. Now, when are you going to stop doing it and hear what the people have to say? I'm not here by myself. I might be standing here, but I respect each and every one of you. I've been on boards with some of you. But hear what the people got to say. Quit hearing what somebody's pocketbook is saying. And as I close, because time is running short, I want to thank y'all. You recognize people of the neighborhood and everything that they do. You even recognize our flag. And I thank you for that, because I'm a veteran, 20 years in the Marine Corps. But one thing that I hope fought against you, when y'all gonna start recognizing our Lord, and get back to praying, and then you'll get some understanding of what's going on.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition to this proposal?
Jeanette Bell, 228 Spring Street, President of the Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association. The Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association and members and officers are requesting the City of Waco reject the permit for a short-term rental at 616 Tyler Street in our single-family residential neighborhood. Short-term rentals are stripping rental properties from people to live in permanently. Research in the media has reported that rent prices will increase and price out the local rentals and cause housing burdens. When home appraisals increase due to the growth of short-term rentals on the street and neighborhood, so does the neighbor's property value and property taxes. This is an increased tax burden and can price out our vested low-income renters and homeowners and force their displacement and relocation. We already have a housing shortage in Waco, McLennan County, and need more affordable, subsidized workforce and transient housing. Airbnb with exhaustive availability of rental properties, which should be prioritized for the people who live, work, play, and seek to start a business in Waco. Airbnb has been documented to hold zero accountability for its hosts. Most short-term rentals hosts do not live on their property or in Waco, McLennan County, and would hold zero accountability for the actions of their renters and their guests. Short-term rentals will reduce the housing stock we need for permanent housing. It's disappointing how entitled some people feel that it's okay to disrupt our home sanctuaries and preserve theirs in their neighborhood. We have no problem with commercial type home sharing concepts, but short-term rentals have no place in residentially zoned areas. It's not ethical, civil, or constitutional. In the first place, our vested neighbors chose this neighborhood because of the schools, safety, reasonable property tax rates, and the family and community ties. The transfer of people will not be in our community long enough to build a strong sense of community bonding or ties. Residential communities should not be forced to accommodate bootleg hotel motels. Airbnb and other home sharing industries should not be allowed to proceed with its documented immoral, illegal, and dangerous practices, especially in Waco, McLennan County, and I feel like we be taking a high risk. Protections and safeguards must be adopted to sustain and preserve our historical, cultural, and social character. Hotels are professional and and are held accountable and are required to meet ethical, legal, and safety standards. So should short-term rentals.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition to this? The applicant will have a brief opportunity for rebuttal if you'd like to speak. If you would, wait till you get to the microphone. Thank you.
On the property. My husband and I bought this property several years ago. I lost my husband 2.5 years ago. When 6 months before he died, he let a gentleman live there free. We were trying to help him. And I ended up having to tear that house down. If you look at your records, you'll find how he left that house. He destroyed. We tried to help him. We let him stay there free. All he had to pay utilities. When he died and I came back to check on the house, it was a disaster. A disaster. The city wanted me to fix it, which wasn't worth fixing. So I had it torn down. I had the city to tear it down. They didn't do it. They kept breaking in. I put the boards up there. They kept breaking in. And so finally I had to get paid to get it torn down. So I decided to build a new home and do it and use it for something that could benefit our Waco visitors that come. This is an Airbnb home, yes, and it's handicapped. We do not have any handicapped home for people that come to visit Waco. There's a lot of stuff they can come and see Waco. They come and they look in their net, there's so much for them to see. people that come. But we try to help them. We try, and I asked all my neighbors that are in that area. They say they're glad that street has improved since I built that house, and they cleaned it up. They paved the new house, the pavement, and all my neighbors say they have no problem with it. I don't know, so these people don't even live in the neighborhood that they're complaining. I live 3 minutes away from the house, so I'm there every day. I can check it. So no, I don't believe that we don't try to help them. We try to help them, and what they do, they slap us on the face. My husband, there's a record if you need to find out how they left that house. The police and the inspector and all that made me tear that house down because the guy that lived there for 6 months, him and his wife and kids destroyed that house. It turned into a drug addict house. It turned into a prostitute house right there in that property. It is not that no more. And that's why I decided to do that with this property, because I think it would benefit the city and all the people that come to visit. They want to stay in a home, call it away home from home. It's got a fenced-in yard. It's safe. 20 letters went out, and none of them came back the first session. Now they're complaining. Okay, that's fine. They have a right. But yes, if you look at the records, I was forced to tear that house down because when we bought it, we fixed it and ran it. And then my husband said, well, let the guy stay there free. We were trying to be generous. He couldn't afford to pay the rent. So I said, just told him, just pay the utility bill and take care of the house. What did he do? You look at the records. There were dead dogs. He turned to a drug addict. It was horrible. And I was forced to tear it down. So what I'm asking is for something that's going to improve the neighborhood, because I asked my neighbors, they're glad to have it. They say the street has improved since I tore down the house and they left. That street has improved. And all the ones in the neighborhood say they're glad that I put that new house there. And what I'm looking for a family to come to Waco, visit all the things that we have to offer, and that they're handicapped and they can be comfortable in a home they can call home for a day or two. That's all I'm looking for. Because in my opinion, we come from a big family, and if we have anything events, we all gotta get hotel rooms because my siblings. And it would be nice for a family that has any event to come to follow the grandmother, the children, all in one property. That's all I'm asking. So it's up to y'all. But I try to help these people, and they throw it in our face.
Just a minute. Are there any questions for Ms. Almanza?
I do. Ms. Almanza, I know we asked your representative earlier, but would you be willing to rent this house long-term rather than you're not willing to do that?
I'll sell it before I rent it, because I know what they can do to it. I don't care if I paid over $100,000 for the house, and I will not rent it long-term. Because right now I got 2 houses, and I have to go get them evicted because these people do not want to pay the rent. They're even on Section 8, and they can't even afford $25 a week.
Don't speak out of line.
I got a family that's on Section 8, and I get $400 for this house, and they're supposed to pay $100. They can't even pay $100.
Okay.
So what do you want me to do?
Okay. I was just asking if that was a possibility.
I would sell it before. I would sell it, but if anybody buys it and they turn it into a rental, that's going to be a different story. If they buy it, they're going to live there forever.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
No.
Thank you. All right, we will close the public hearing. Is there a motion on this item?
I move that we approve the permit.
We have a motion to approve. I'll second the motion. Is there any discussion?
Yeah. So we go through these conversations, and we've had several of them about short-term rentals in various neighborhoods. At this point, we're only speaking about this one in this district, so let me be clear. My position is firm in that we are seeing a renaissance and resurgence within the East Waco part of District 1, with a lot of building and construction and new roads and new businesses coming within the city. The one thing that we have not seen increase is our housing stock. We have not seen, and it is coming, I believe that without question, that it's coming, but it's not there yet. And before we increase, from my position, before we increase a lot of transient and transitional housing in that, I'd like to see our neighborhood stabilized. Now, I am, as I've said many times before, I use Airbnbs as I travel. We do a lot of stuff that happens, all over the country. And when you do travel with family or large groups, it's easier that way. I have no quarrel with owner-occupied Airbnbs because those are people who are still living and functioning within the community that they are renting out. I know that that is a possibility that has come before us several times, and I have no problem with that. I think people, home property owners and property rights and what you do with your own stuff is your business. But I would still like to see someone that's dedicated to increasing the development within the neighborhood and continuing to build community within the neighborhood, even if they're making some side money on their house, because that's, we want to see everybody economically advance. But my concern is that until we stabilize a little bit for our housing vein, short-term rentals that are not owner-occupied short-term rentals, I'm not supporting right now.
So I understand that, and my concern here is that I believe Ms. Almanza does live in the area. If I'm wrong about that, do you know?
I meant in the house.
You meant in the house. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but lives nearby, and there have been no objections from anyone in the neighborhood, and so it always gets down to balancing the individual property owners' rights versus the community, and when we've had strong outpouring from the neighborhood around the property, then we've responded that way and have usually voted those down. I don't see that here. I understand all your concerns and don't disagree with any of them.
Yeah, I know. As you have those conversations within the grocery store, at church, or whatever, and people have issues with short-term rentals or whatever they have, whatever comes before us, I have now and will continue to say, you're going to have to go to Plan Commission. We need it on record at every space if you're against something. Because, there is no, you've got to have the evidence to sustain. I know that, I've talked to Pastor Bledsoe myself. I know Commissioner Miller mentioned him, and I've spoken to him myself. Just about some of the concerns. I've spoken with Ms. Bell several times. I've spoken with Pastor Brown several times. I've spoken with Teresa several times. So it may not be in the form of the comment cards returned, which it should be. So, if you have issue or quarrel with it, there are procedures that are in place for that reason.
Well, and I really mean even the four that you just mentioned are not in this immediate neighborhood. And that's what I meant by that.
Gotcha.
I certainly don't, I understand all of those concerns, and it's just the fact that we don't have anybody in the immediate neighborhood saying that they're against it.
I hear what you're saying. I know that when you're speaking specifically at Castle Heights, that is or any of those, succinct, compact neighborhoods that are all residential, that's one way to look at it. This is not a solely residential community. It's commercial and residential. So our situation is going to be a little different regardless. So, it's one of those things that until we get a little surer footing, I'm steadfast.
Can I ask staff just two quick questions? Can you tell me how many requests were sent out to the immediate neighbors and just how many responded? Again, I could look back in the deal, but I've forgotten. 20.
We mailed out 20 notices, and we did get one response after the Plan Commission hearing that stated they'd rather see long-term rental than short-term rental.
So it was one out of the 20. My second question is, the house, even though the applicants have said that they want to be STR, nothing else, to a buyer it could be used as, they can do whatever they want to with it. I guess it's not any different standard of just a single-family home for somebody to live in or rent month to month versus the intent of this applicant to rent it night to night.
As far as the construction of it? Yeah, it's the same standards.
Yeah. Any further questions or discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Meek?
No.
Kennard?
No.
Sabido?
No.
Fairfield?
No.
Deaver?
Yes, that motion does not carry, so that permit is denied. Public hearing 2019-887.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Bradley Hancock for a short-term rental type 2 in R1B zoning district on property described as Lot 6 and 7, Block 42 of the University Heights Edition, known as 1728 Live Oak Avenue. By a vote of 6-1, Plan Commission recommended approval of special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions and based on the findings required for granting of a special permit per section 28-122 of the zoning ordinance.
All right, any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. I have one card here from Brad Hancock. Brad Hancock.
Good evening. My name is Brad Hancock, 1728 Live Oak Avenue. Purpose of my coming here today, obviously just wanted to introduce myself, but also just to clarify something that had been brought to my attention as well during the application process here recently. One of the questions was the state that the house is currently in, what if we were intending to rent, in that state. And we are actually undergoing a remodel on that home. So pretty extensively, from landscaping to exterior, also to the interior of the home. And so just wanted to make that known to you as well and answer any other questions there might be. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Hancock, is your plan to rent it out once the remodel is complete?
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah, once it's done.
During the remodel, you're not planning on renting it out?
No,
Okay.
it's vacant. There won't be any way to accommodate anyone. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hancock. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this project? Anyone here who would like to speak against this project? All right, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-888.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Judith Sue Steck and Clifford W. Steck for a short-term rental type 2 in R1B zoning district on property described as 0.39 acre, more or less tract of land in the JM Sampier Survey A785 in the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, and being part of a called 11.95 acre tract of land conveyed to E.M. Jantz by deed record in volume 798, page 101 of the deed records, McLennan County, Texas, and being all that tract conveyed to Johnson Revocable Trust, UTA, Gene Johnson, trustee by deed record, and clerk's file number 2017-00-2606 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, known as 609 Catalina Street. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions and based on the findings required for granting of a special permit per section 28-122 of the zoning ordinance.
All right, any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this item? Anyone here that would like to speak at all on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-889.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Will Layton and Angela M. Layton for a short-term rental type 3 in R3E district on property described as Unit 7201 of the Timberwoods Townhouses, Building 7, Lot 19, Block 19 of the Bagby Edition, known as 1701 South 12th Street, Unit 7201. And by a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of special permit subject to special provisions and conditions and based on the findings required for granting of a special permit per section 28-122 of the zoning ordinance.
Okay. Any questions for staff? I'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
No.
Fairfield.
No.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-890.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Laura Nixon for a small lot, single-family dwelling in a O2 zoning district on property described as Lot 1, Block 1 of the LJ Nixon Addition, known as 621 South 7th Street. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of special permit, subject to the special provisions and conditions and based on the findings required for granting of a special permit per section 122 of the zoning ordinance.
All right. Any questions for staff? Open a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this item? If you would approach the podium and give your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Laura Nixon, and I live at 319 Stone Creek, Winding Creek Lane in Stone Creek, out here in McGregor. So I am a member of this community, and I am just asking for this lot that I have that's in an O2 zoning area, that it's just slightly, like a couple feet smaller than the 50-yard minimum, or 50-foot minimum, I'm sorry. And I was just hoping that you would accept that consideration for a special permit. Thank you.
Are there any questions from Ms. Nixon? Okay, thank you very much.
You.
Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Meek?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Sabido?
Yes.
Fairfield?
Yes.
Deaver?
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-891.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a continuance of a public hearing to consider an ordinance rezoning from M2 to C2, a property described as lots 1, 2, 3, 4A, 5A, 6A, and 9A, Block 4 of the Riverside Addition, known as 60612 Peach Street. We did receive a request from the applicant to withdraw this application. Staff does recommend approval of that withdrawal. Council would need to vote on that to allow the withdrawal.
Okay. Is there a motion on the withdrawal?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we'll continue the public hearing for comments on the question of withdrawal, right?
It's actually a motion to withdraw.
That's what I thought. Did I say something wrong there?
You said you were going to continue the hearing.
I thought we needed to continue the hearing on the motion.
Okay,
To withdraw.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on the issue of withdrawing this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Meek?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Sabido?
Yes.
Fairfield?
Yes.
Deaver?
Yes, so that item is withdrawn. Public hearing 2019-892.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance amending Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, for the purpose of amending Section 28-1 to revise the definitions for indoor amusement facility and indoor recreational facility, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing for inclusion in no code, providing for penalties, and finding and determining the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the amendment as proposed.
Okay. Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval on first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Meek?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Sabido?
Yes.
Fairfield?
Yes.
Deaver?
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-893.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance rezoning from O3 and C3 to C4 on properties described as lots 6, 7, 9, 15, 16, and 24, Block 2 of the Farm Lot 2 Addition, known as 615 and 623 Columbus Avenue, lots 1 and 2, Block 1 of the Waco Addition, known as 314 and 316 North 6th Street, and Lot 3, Block 41 of the Farm Lot 41 Addition, known as 321, 323, and 329 North 7th Street. This is another case that we did receive a request to withdraw from the applicant, so we will need to have a public hearing and then council vote on that.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to allow withdrawal?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to comment on the withdrawal of this item? Close the public hearing. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Meek?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Sabido?
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, so that item is withdrawn. Public hearing 2019-894.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from suburban residential to urban residential on property described as 0.31 acres, more or less, out of the L.W. Swain Survey Abstract Number 40 in McLennan County, Texas, being part of that called 0.326 acre tract described as Tract 1 and conveyed to Billie Jean Donaldson and wife Norma Jean Donaldson by deed dated March 14, 1996, and recorded in volume 1865, page 513 of McLennan County Deed Records, property ID 103331, known as 6301 North 19th Street, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described above shall be changed from R1B to 03 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determined the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the land use designation change based on the following findings. One, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in proposed land use designation. And two, there is urban residential land use in the vicinity of the subject property. Plan Commission also recommended approval of the zoning based on the following findings. One, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component as the comprehensive plan is revised. Two, the property meets all size and width requirements for 03 zoning. Three, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in 03 zoning. Four, the area is transitioning to mixed use zoning districts such as 03. And five, the existing use would remain as conforming to the ordinance regulations in the 03 zoning district.
Okay, any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval on first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-895.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as lots 6B and 7, Block 36 of the Glenwood Edition, known as 2401 Austin Avenue, shall be changed from 02 district classification and to be designated in the 03 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. One, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco plan for Greater Downtown. Two, there is existing 03 zoning in the vicinity of subject property. Three, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in 03 zoning. And four, the proposed 03 zoning provides for a mix of uses that is more compatible with the surrounding area than the existing 02 zoning.
Okay. Any questions for staff? I'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move approval on first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-896.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, creating a plan unit development, approving the concept plan for a PUD, and changing the zoning classification from C2 to plan unit development on certain property described as 7.023 acre tract of land in the TJ Chambers Survey Abstract Number 7, McLennan County, Texas, and being out of the remaining portion of a called 101.9 acre tract of land described in volume 119, page 536 of deed records in McLennan County, Texas, located in the 2400 block of South New Road, and two, 0.49 acre tract of land situated in the TJ Chambers Survey Abstract Number 7 in McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of Lot 7, Block 1 of the Royal King and Plaza Edition, said edition being recorded in instrument number 2010-02-1754, the official public records in McLennan County, Texas. Said lot being described in instrument number 2019-02-758 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas, is known as 4017 South Jack Colgan Expressway, and located northwest of intersection of South New Road and South Jack Colgan Expressway, to one, add property to the PUD, said property being described as 0.6361 acre tract of land situated in the TJ Chambers survey, abstract number 7, City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of Lot 7, Block 1, Royal King Plaza Edition, known as 4017 South Jack Colgan Expressway. And 2, to remove the property from the PUD, said property being the 0.49 acre tract. And 3, otherwise revise the concept plan to reconfigure access for the development, rezone the 0.6361 acre tract, and rezone the 0.49 acre tract, repealing all ordinances of parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties, providing severability clause, and finding determined that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the Plan Commission recommended all those changes based on the following findings. 1, the PUD amendment and rezoning is needed to accommodate the TxDOT approved driveway location along the Interstate 35 road frontage. 2, the proposed PUD is consistent with the land use component of the comprehensive plan, the purposes of 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Waco, Texas, and the Plan Unit Development Regulations. And 3, the proposed PUD is keeping with the purpose and intent of the PUD ordinance by allowing or providing a high level of urban amenities and design standards while allowing flexibility in the use and development of the land. We do have 7 conditions. 1, the final PUD plan must meet all development standards consistent with the site requirements of the Plan Review Committee, including but not limited to the following: site grading and drainage, signage regulations, parking, site coverage, access, and circulations, the traffic impact analysis, the recommended improvements, landscaping, refuse location, and access and fire protection location and access. Driveway access for large trucks and 18-wheelers shall be limited to the driveway along Interstate 35 frontage road and the new road access with the recommended traffic improvements of the TIA. 3, the maximum size for the detached signage along Interstate 35 frontage road shall be 50 feet in height and 280 square feet in area. 4, all site lighting shall be oriented to shine toward the development and away from the adjacent residential neighborhood. 5, the final PUD plan must include maintenance plan for the wooded area that is proposed to remain. 6, a cross access easement shall be provided for the driveway connecting the development to the Interstate 35 frontage road. And 7, screening shall be provided for the driveway connecting to the development to I-35 frontage road along the portion of the driveway that is adjacent to the single-family residential area.
Okay, any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. I have one card here from Gwen Keene.
Gwen Keene, Quick Trip Corporation, Euless, Texas. Honorable Mayor, council members, thank you. All of that just because we moved a driveway. So we're here tonight to amend the PUD, the concept PUD. We met with TxDOT, and based on their recommendations and approvals, we had to shift the drive. So that's what we did. We're working with Hooters, and we're going to use some of theirs. So all of that property language is what that's taking into consideration. The very upside of this is the portion of that parcel now that we're purchasing, we will now be able to completely fence in the neighborhood. So there will be a fence that will completely block off the neighborhood from any walk-through traffic, drive-through traffic. It will be completely blocked off. The fence will be on our property, as well as we're going to have landscaping on the other side of the fence. So they're not just going to be looking at a fence. They're going to be looking at landscaping and a fence, and we maintain all of that. So that was why we ended up having to amend the concept PUD. Thank you for your consideration. Today I had the fortunate event to get to go to Magnolia Table, and I was paying for my meal with my Quick Trip card, and Jackie saw that. She wanted to pass along that she would like for you guys to approve this. She said, so make sure tonight when I was there to tell you that Jackie, who's been to a few Quick Trips, is excited about it coming to Waco, and so are we. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and we look forward to being here.
Thank you. Any questions? I do have one question.
Sure.
First of all, I appreciate Jackie's recommendation.
I appreciated the biscuits with the strawberry butter.
Very good. As I understand it, the exit that exits onto New Road will only be able to turn right.
Correct.
So that they won't be able to make left turns. How will you alert drivers not to go down that road if they're planning to go back to the left? Because I'm concerned that they're going to get to that end and still make a loop around, even though you're putting a median in there.
Sure.
How do you keep that from happening?
At one point, we know that it will be median bound, or well, not that portion, but the access, the first access they come to will be full access, but that will be auto traffic only. That will not be tractor trailer. It's the furthest access that will be the 3/4 access, and it will be that we will structure it so with the pork chop or with the median that they cannot make a left turn out. We'll have directional signage, and not only that, we'll have internal directional signage for the tractors, trailers to indicate that they need to go out the frontage road regardless of how they came into the station.
Okay. I just think that's going to be really important because I'm afraid they're going to get trapped in there and then make a U-turn on that on New Road, and it's going to be even more dangerous.
No, they shouldn't be able to do that based on the way we've structured everything.
Okay, good. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who would like to speak against the application or in general about the application? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move approval on first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2019-897.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance abandoning a portion of an alley described as .076 acres located in the LB Daughtry addition per plat record under McLennan County Clerk's file number 2006-039-714 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and located between South 15th Street and South 16th Street at Daughtry Avenue, retaining a general utility easement, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the abandonment request based on the following findings and condition. That public use of the alley right-of-way is not required for proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. And 2, utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the alley right-of-way. And we just have the condition for a general utility easement shall be retained for the area of the abandoned alleyway or all utilities relocated out of the abandoned right-of-way at the developer's cost.
Okay. Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval on first reading.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll now turn to our resolutions. We have one card tonight on Resolution 2019-902 from Ephraim Herring. Mr. Herring, if you'd like to address the council now.
Came in about 3 o'clock today, so going back here again.
Thank you for coming.
Question, Resolution 902. I reviewed your resolution. You go on through there and you read, in May of 2018, I was under understanding, May 1st, 2018, when y'all passed the resolution that was going to do the streets, redesign the streets, water, storm improvements, and I was understanding that also you can do sidewalks. Well, if you look at your drawing that's available to the public, there's nothing there about sidewalks. And my question is, and I'm asking, I know that on Webster Street, y'all did sidewalks. You paid about $350,000 to sidewalks on 4th and the 5th Webster Street. So you go on there now, and I'm looking at now that you're going through and you're doing this sewer, doing the water line, And any instructor or construction person could tell you it's easier if you're doing replacing water lines to also do the sidewalks at the same time, so you tear everything up. And the most damaging sidewalks is on the southwest side of Elm Street. And where the water line is reportedly on the southwest side of Elm Street. So I'm just suggesting, that, hey, one of the things when I came here in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, that City Center Waco was telling us they're going to do Elm Avenue. Well, we did only 700 block. There's a lot more to go. And when y'all took $20,000 from Miss Grayson, because she was thinking about sidewalks too. So my thing is simple. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be much feasible tax-wise, tax burden-wise, to do while we doing the water lines and the sewer lines and the storm drains, that we do sidewalk all at the same time? That's all I'm suggesting.
So we are doing all those things. This is just one part of the project. And Wally, do you want to speak to that or have one of the ACMs speak to it?
No, that's exactly right. And we do have I believe we have a grant application in for some sidewalks in this area, but we need to get the street and the water work done now.
The reason why I'm asking that, because we got told in 2016 and 2017 that we were supposed to get a TxDOT grant for Elm Avenue, and I've heard we got the grant, but.
So what's the schedule for?
It's a multi-year.
Yeah.
It's a multi-year project. I mean, we started with the model block because at that point there were businesses that were prepared to open all at that time. So that's why that block got done. This is a multi-year. We're not going to finish this till what, 22?
No, it's 20. I'm gonna look at 2020 for as the 2020 on the streets and their sewers and storm drains. So I'm looking at, you got one business right now in that same area that's in the top 25 for as restaurants and people go eat. And any day of the week, you have problems getting there and to get food. So now you're going through at 2020 and you tearing up that sidewalk for that person to do the street. I mean, you're tearing up the street doing that, then you come back again at 2022.
No, it's all going to be done. I mean, it has to be done incrementally, just the way the nature of the project. But no, from MLK to Garrison will be redone.
Okay, well, I'm saying your plan here says only to Hood Street.
Well, that's just this part of the project.
That's just this part.
Just approving funding for that part of the project.
And we've got streetscape in the first part that Councilmember Bearfield talked about. We don't have streetscape in this part, but we have applied for another TxDOT grant. I believe it's through Safe Routes to Schools, to complete at least a portion of that with sidewalks.
Because like I say, another reason why I came, because we're doing 35 all at the same time. So I'm thinking if you 2020, do all at once, and then we still, because 2020 is when 2022 is when 35 is supposed to be completed.
Right.
So, all right, thank you for your time. God bless.
Thank you. Apologize for the confusion this afternoon. Thank you. You too. All right. Is there a motion on Resolution 2019-902?
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. The consent agenda tonight now consists of resolutions 2019-898 through 2019-904, with the exception of 2019-902 that was voted on separately. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. We have two ordinances tonight, both on second reading. The first is ordinance 2019-905.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, amending Section 532, Board Composition of Article 2, Animal Welfare Board, and Chapter 5, Animals of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 5-0 council vote on first reading on November 5th, 2019.
Is there a motion?
Motion for approval on second reading. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Ordinance 2019-906.
An ordinance amending the project and financing plan for reinvestment zone number 1 for tax increment financing to number 1, provide TIF funds in an amount not to exceed $200,000 to 305 Elm LLC for environmental assessment, facade improvements, and architectural and engineering services to renovate a building at 305 Elm Avenue. 2, provide TIF funds in an amount not to exceed $5,548,000 to City Center Waco to develop Bridge Street from MLK Jr. Boulevard to Mann Street as a festival street, and to develop the 300 block of Elm Avenue as a public plaza. 3, provide TIF funds in an amount not to exceed $1,528,807 to the City of Waco Public Works Department to establish a railroad quiet zone from Peach Street to South 13th Street, and the conversion of Jackson Avenue to a one-way street from University Parks Drive to South 8th Street. 4, provide TIF funds in an amount not to exceed $341,000 to the City of Waco Public Works Department to construct new sidewalk from 4th Street to 5th Street along the northwest right-of-way of Webster Avenue. Provide TIF funds in an amount not to exceed $369,430 to City Center Waco to remediate and remove concrete slabs behind the East Waco Library along Taylor Street in preparation for future redevelopment. 6, allocate an additional $200,000 to the facade improvement grant line item in the project and financing plan to fund future facade improvement projects. 7, amend the agreement with 4th and Jackson LLC, Ordinance 2017-902, to provide an extension of 180 days for the containery project at 319 South 4th Street. And 8, consider a contract amendment for Barron's Loft Partners LLC for an increase in the amount of funding previously awarded on March 20, 2018 by ordinance number 2018-386 for the project at 215 through 217 South 4th Street from $556,267 to $602,168, with all projects being within the TIF Zone 1 in Waco, McLennan County, Texas, and authorizing the city manager to execute any documents in connection therewith, providing an effective date, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 5-0 council vote on first reading on November 5th, 2019.
Okay, and council members Kennard, Meek, and Holmes and I have all filed affidavits of substantial interest on this item. Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabido.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. We will now open the hearing of visitors. During the hearing of visitors section of the agenda, we provide an opportunity for any citizen to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for consideration listed on the agenda. Council is unable to conduct discussion, but will listen as staff to look into concerns and provide follow-up. Please provide registration information so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to the council. If you are unable to approach the podium due to a physical limitation, the microphone is available to be brought to you. When called to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Each speaker must limit comments to 3 minutes. If you are speaking on behalf of a group of 10 or more individuals present, please have those persons stand at the beginning of your comments, and you will be given 10 minutes to address the council. Please note that if you stand in support of a person getting 10 minutes to speak, you will be forfeiting your right to speak on that item. First card I have is Alan Northcutt.
Alan Northcutt, MD, 619 Stone Manor Drive, McGregor, which is in Waco, Precinct 5. I can't address all the issues in the energy guidance plan in 3 minutes, but just touch a couple of the points. Your handout actually has some numbers when we talk about energy prices. This is the newest study, November, from Lazard, showing that now in the United States, overall, solar and wind are cheaper than combined cycle natural gas. Also have a handout from a respected medical journal, The Lancet, showing the dangers of climate change to children. The two most important words that weren't mentioned in the energy guidance plan was the climate crisis. We don't need to be afraid to use that term in Waco in 2019. 64% of Waco citizens accept the science, a majority want the city to take action. The U.S. Conference of Mayors unanimously supports cities going 100% renewable. A couple specific items. Discussion that's very difficult to move to electric cars and that we need to do a lot of preparation. It's really not. We only need to know the range that the car drives every day. If it's less than 250, there are very reasonably priced electric cars available. The charging is not expensive. There seemed to be a mistake about that. A level 2 charger, which is what you would use for city vehicles, only costs about $350. The public level 3 chargers are expenses where the state grants would be useful. And that is the future. There are essentially no hydrogen cell cars being sold in the United States. That's really not a technology that's likely to prosper at all. The future is electric cars, battery electrics. On solar, all new city buildings, if the roof is compatible, should have solar installed. There's no reason not to. On the issue of gas versus electric, for new city buildings, absolutely they should be electric. The science says by 2050 we have to be off of natural gas, so it makes no sense from now on to install any natural gas in city buildings. In fact, some towns are already banning natural gas in new structures. That's already happening. And I would say that since the Sustainability Board has been rendered essentially totally ineffectual, I believe that the city, to handle this complex issue, needs a sustainability officer, someone who understands the science, who is really informed on renewable energy, and can handle this complex transition. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody help with a microphone stand. We got a loose microphone stand.
Just
I can do that.
taller.
I was like,
Thanks, Larry. Robert Gamboa is our next card. Is Robert Gamboa here?
mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Mayor Deaver, my name is Robert Gamboa. I'm not a resident of the city of Waco, Texas. I am a resident of McLennan County. But I bring to you as a voice, not only from the Hispanic community, but there were some that were here from the African American community in regards to what I'm addressing. The former city manager, Mr. Dale Fisley, was hired in 2014. Shortly thereafter, there was a media blitz, so to speak, that the city of Waco was about to enter into an arena of diversity and all that entails, community efforts, etc. And in doing so, the city manager at the time hired two young women from Fort Worth, of whom he had had previous work experience as being the former city manager at Fort Worth, Texas. And he hired Cynthia Garcia and Deidre, Emerson. And according to him, he said, I've seen both work and handle difficult situations. They had to stand and deliver on controversial issues. And in doing so, he was proud of the diversity of the new hires at the time, 3 females, 2 African American, 1 Hispanic. And then he spreaded an effort to hire the first African American fire chief for the city of Waco. And I'm going to tell you that and I'm sure to you, this is not great astounding news, but the city and individuals throughout McLennan County just jumped for joy to hearing that and felt that indeed the diversity effort was intact and full-fledged future. The problem is that when the city manager recruited the 2 females from Fort Worth, he ended up in his statement that the recruiters cast a wide web in efforts to hire the 2 individuals, And while I see three of people of color before me who would understand the impact of a statement that he made and continues to be made in our community, in our society. So it's not just Waco, Texas. And that is, though the winners were chosen on their merits, ladies and gentlemen, haven't we gotten past that point that when you hire, quote, a minority, you're hiring that individual on his or her merits? My entire life has been under, I met the merits, I met the qualifications. It's sad that coming from a new city manager at the time to make a statement of that sort. In
Mr.
doing
Gambo,
so,
I'm sorry, you're way past 3 minutes, so if you could just get.
if I may,
finish up,
in
please.
doing so, Ms. Garcia didn't last more than a year. And then upon word here lately that we had that Mr. Bobby Tatum Jr. was leaving as well in a few short weeks. What's wrong with this picture? It's terrible. The word goes out that you want to pursue diversity, and yet nobody makes a comment, at least publicly, that you're losing your top minority, quote unquote, who happen to be part of the majority of today's world. The rule of thumb that has to be judged, has to be evaluated, is what is this council thinking of doing in the future, if indeed you're entertaining diversity. I'm now older than dirt. Those of us that come from my era spent a lot, if not all of our adult life, building bridges, knocking doors down for employment from the Hispanic community, for the African American community. And yet, we see, quote, diversity lasts no more than 5 years.
Mr. Gamboa, you're out of time, and
I
you obviously
understand.
have not been
I
following
understand.
any of the work of
Thank
the
you.
council
I
over the
think I've
last
made my point, sir.
few years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next card is Phyllis Flowers.
Mayor and the council. I'm Phyllis Flowers. I am a resident of Waco. I'm a resident of East Waco for the last 34 years. And although most of you all I don't even know, I haven't been around lately, but I'm around now and look like I'm gonna have to be around again for some time because I'm not liking what I see going on. First thing, I have two issues that are pressing. First issue is Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. The name of the street is Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. It is not MLK. It's not supposed to have the MLK on the signs. It's supposed to be spelled out completely. However, when Baylor built the new stadium, on that end, they have put signs up, according to the city streets department. They said that Baylor commissioned those signs because I called and told them I wanted them taken down. I wanted them replaced with Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. We took pride in the fact that we were the only city in the state of Texas that spelled the name all the way out. It was motioned that it would be spelled out. It was approved, and it was put into practice. However, on that side of the freeway is MLK. I want those signs removed. I want the sign to read what the rest of the signs read, which is Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, because that's what they're supposed to read. I don't care who paid for them or who did whatever. That is not my concern. What I'm saying is when you have someone that putting up a sign for the city, it needs to be consistent with the rules and guidelines of the city. And that is not inconsistent with the rules and guidelines of the city of Waco. And so therefore, I want those signs changed. The other issue I have is when you open a business, you're supposed to provide parking for the people that you have that your business has the capacity to hold. That has been the case for many, many years in the city of Waco. However, Lula James did not provide the proper amount of parking. And so what did the city do? They allowed diagonal parking to be put in front of Lula James when it was parallel parking like it is throughout all of Elm Street. That is the biggest safety hazard I've ever encountered. If you try to come down Dallas Street at Elm Street, you cannot see around those vehicles to see what's coming toward you. That is not right. If it's required of other businesses, it should be required of all businesses. And so therefore, I have a problem with this diagonal parking in front of Lula James. I have a problem with the fact that she was able to open the business without providing the proper amount of parking spaces that was required of her, that should have been required of her. Okay, the other thing
Ms.
is...
Flowers, I'm sorry, you're out of time, and you've gone way over 3 minutes. If you could just wrap up, please.
Okay. Like I said, all I want you to do is change the signs, change that diagonal parking so we won't be getting almost hit every time I come through that intersection. I almost get hit by a car. So therefore, that's my issues right now. My other issues, I ain't had but 3 minutes, so I got to let the other one go. But
tell me afterwards.
No, it's not with you per se.
Understand.
It's people thinking nothing good can come out of East Waco. Just like they said, there's anything good can come out of Nazareth. And, but there's a lot of good came out of East Waco, and I don't have time to stand up here and tell you all the good that's come out of East Waco.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else here who would like to address the council during the hearing of visitors? Seeing no one, we'll close the hearing of visitors. Are there any council member reports on committees or boards or commissions liaison visits? All right, seeing none, we will adjourn at 7:25. Thank you.